This is day 611 of the Arukh HaShulchan Yomi. Today's Arukh HaShulchan Yomi is being sponsored by John Abraham, L'Chavit Shabbos Kodesh. It's Erev Shabbos, and we should be zoicha to a Shabbos Shel Menucha Shel Kedusha. If you'd like to sponsor an upcoming Shir or more of Arukh HaShulchan Yomi, please come me directly. Be very greatly appreciated. Today we are doing Siman Shin Simon Beis Siv Zayin through Yud Gimel. Zayin, mechitza mas wall which stood on its own. Shalom has to be the other. It's natural, not artificial. Have a mechitza, it's a wall. Can call however given therefore any mountain, any hill, a tell, or a mound having mechitza. It's a wall. Abi shalom not says the mechitza, even though it wasn't made for the purpose of wall. There is a mitzvah shetzarich lishma. A wall is not a mitzvah that has to be done lishma. If you look at lechi, the zatikun chachamim, even a lechi which is something chachamim enacted. We hold lechi memel kshera. If you have a lechi, a pillar at the front of the shusay, in front of an open mouth, for it outside, it can be a tree. The lechi memel kshera. Koshke mechitza is certainly a wall, which is omrim ne'elav, is fine. If I have got the lechi ben shis muchalav erev Shabbos, even though a lechi has to be designated for erev Shabbos, otherwise not lechi which is brought sin Shin Sama Gimel, because it has to be Eker, it has to be Nikar, from before Shabbos, Kom Mechitza, by Mechitza comes, we don't need it. So Lech, Lech, which is a Takon to carry there, Shabbos, we need to designate a rely for every Shabbos. He doesn't explain why, but I think it's because the Heker aspect. V'lo Mechitza, but not by a term Mechitza. Koshke Mechitza, She'ena Yehudi b'Shabbos, a wall which is made by non-Jew Shabbos. HaMechitza, it's a wall. If a Jew violated Shabbos and made a wall on Shabbos, it's still mechitza. But there, if he did it unintentionally, so then as a shoygay, so then you're allowed to carry there within the walls made on Shabbos. Amazing, but a person deliberately violated Shabbos and made a wall there. The rice is true, it's a wall with the rice anyway. So it throws into that wall enclosure from which is rabbing, or from that enclosure to rabbing is violated the Torah prohibition. Nevertheless, still in terms of carrying, rabbis find people that are not allowed, they can't carry them. Not just the person who made it, even another Jew also is now allowed to carry there. B'sham Yosef Arabam so for Shabbos. Meaning to have a bashel b'Shabbos. It's like somebody who cooks on Shabbos. The made it deliberately. The also gam lachem lachol mishum Shabbos. Other people also can eat from it on Shabbos. Avachanami kenu. Here's the same thing. It says brackets that poskim lo biruzeh. Poskim do not speak about this parallel to mevashel. Abshitish kenu b'tzayv said that is the case. She brings a prima guy who's not sure whether you can even use it on another Shabbos, not for the recipe. Recipe we can use it next Shabbos. So the person who made the wall can use it the next Shabbos, and he's right. So according to the Gra, it's definitely mutter. Ches v'day, you should know the b'shita sebeinu tam, tzitza bein tam b'teisus. The opinion right down teisus Shabbos of kufav. Kufav defayin kam amazing mechitzav talto b'tocha. Even if the same is made deliberately, it's also to be a wall to consider to carry inside it. But our forerunners have argued about the intent. Around appears Perkazari. The Ran says where there was no wall there ever. But if there was a wall there, so Shabbos was ruined on Shabbos, and then it was remade on Shabbos. It's a wall also to carry. I feel amazing, even it was made deliberately. Abel Rush Zal Pirush on the body Mechitza the rice and Locha Taltel. Rush says no. May Mechitza the rice on Shabbos, even was there previously and now it's carried in its confines. Was there Rakli and Mechitza the Rabbana? In terms of Mechitza the Rabbana, called Shnei Chatzei Sheish B'nei Mechitza, such as you have two Chatzeros. You have two Chatzeros. Sheish B'nei Mechitza, we have a wall between them. We have Kol Chatzah and each of them its own Erev. The Neres Mechitza Shebnei Shabbos, and the wall on Shabbos became collapsed. Both themselves that now, since you have two areas which didn't make an area with each other, open to each other, they also each other. But say here, Mechitzah Shabbos, I feel amazing when they put the wall back, even on Shabbos, even amazing. Chazat they should go back to the original heter. Mutar b'kol chatzer taltel, b'tochel mitochel batu, allowed to carry in each chatzer from the house to the chatzer and vice versa. Test zeh shon l'tur. Ava b'mezid have a mechitza lachmir. But b'mezid it's a mechitza to be machmir. Finally, shlosh mechitza tchil. That's why there was no wall there to begin with. Ava there was walls to begin with. V'husran got removed. The chazar says and that got rebuilt. I feel amazed even deliberately. Chazar terisha goes back to its initial heter. Go shlomo shlosh shkivu machlil so sivo same as rabbin. So 2 or 3 people who put curtains around themselves and just a rabbin. And they made also made a separation between themselves with curtains. And they made an erev. And so that seems strange. Then it's mutar from one to another. Yeah, that's very strange. That's what Arukh will point out. The curtains were rolled back on Shabbos, naturally became also the carry. The curtains were rolled back. I feel amazingly, even deliberately. They went back to the original heter. Copy the tour. It's understandable at all. Why are they making a separation between themselves with curtains? That's Rabbeinu says the das a ran. He held like the Rabbeinu says the tour holds like the ran. That feel mechitzas the rice because the ten rishon. Even some mechitzas the rice, so they go back to original heter if they were rebuilt on Shabbos. But that's what he means. The curtain is not between the two areas, the curtains between those areas, and Rishus Rabbin got rolled up. And it became Rishus Rabbin, and then he rolled back again, and then so now Rishus Yachid became Rishus Yachid again. Ayin Sham. Rabbi Taimon. This is astonishing. Says Arukh HaShulchan. Became Lamalo Tzayish Irvu. So why have to say they made an Eruv? Ma'ich Bas Omer. What do you care about the Eruv? Just say, each one, if the wall's rolled up, it's no good. If it rolls back, it is good. I would tell you, the walls fell. And they got put back into place. You have Yeshish pairs to cover us a Turka rush. Some people say that the Tur holds like the rush. The Tafka, when Mechitza, Rabbanah, the Hirishon. Or Mechitza Rabbanah, they get back to me mutter again. First, Mechitza explains that the curtains are Mechitza Yachid. And even when they're rolled up, they're still at the outer walls of Shusarachi. And they roll back, they go back to the original heter. Still, it's difficult. It's still difficult. Why do you need the curtains between them? Came on Shuvah since they made it together. Okosh, it's difficult. Harich was it to say a long scenario. You can just say shortly. In the short, when the wall fell between two chatzeros, an outer, like the Rush says, when everyone made a mechitz for itself, shenafel and asu, when the walls fell down and became also. They went back and rebuilt it. Even on Shabbos, Chazal went back to the original state of heter. There's long brackets here. The Jewish tries to explain the Torah with grave difficulty. The Mashkas of Irvu Yachad, that which wrote Irvu together, have a Vav HaMechalekes. The Vav of the Irvu is a Vav which divides. It's here, it's two different scenarios. And Sham, but the Chukim between is very difficult words to say. V'ata sif kanav rakdocha divrei abach, sif rejects the back, divrei Rabbi Yisrael shot summer, kavanah so Rosh Karan. He also rejects the Rabbi Yisrael and say the Rosh was around. Aval divrei Tur lo be able to explain the Tur. Man Avram sif kanav v'tzolam ad lo pligia Rosh Varan. You want to say they don't argue. The Rosh might have been enough mechitzas mikodem Shabbos. So that's why the walls fell before Shabbos. Lavdak mechitzas rabbanon. I'm sorry, does talking mechitzas d'Rabbanan chazar terishon, and then only when the mechitzas d'Rabbanan does it go back to its set there when it's rebuilt on Shabbos. But Ramayim of Shabbos, not on Shabbos. Does a few mechitzas d'Oraisa chazar terishon? They're even for the Oraisa walls when they're rebuilt on Shabbos, they go back to the original heter. Ayin sham. But the motam was very astonishing. The Rosh Kosav She'ir Kol Echad La'atzmo Asmach Machzol Shebehem. The Rosh we made each one by air for himself based on curtains. He can't have it Kayamas because Kayamas was on Shabbos, so they were here when Shabbos began. When after Shabbos they fell on Shabbos. Ayin sham. The Raisa Gamachai Gavna Osir, and the Raisa also such as narrative should be Osir. Chaim Push Batei Tishom. Mashkasa among Avram Loma Farish Rosh Rav Nachman Kaya say for the Raisa. What the Magen Avraham asked, which we can't really understand without seeing inside, why Rosh explains going Rav Nach that Rosh the Rav Nachman and the Brisa. Tomorrow it's astonishing. Rosh Spirit Tamob is there. Rosh explains the reasoning. Can't have a Siyahin Tachtor Rav Chil Rachman. I call the Brisa Shneim Be'ervin. They should buy Rav Nachman on the original Brisa. Brisa takes the Shabbos, etc. Nachat Tzekel Yerich Vein Book the Yishuv. Okay, last part. Unless you look into the sugya, it was unintelligible. Sorry. Yeah, if you nail the dina bari, kamel chumak das rosh. You definitely all the chumra like the rosh. Rak mechitzas the rabbanon chazal rishon b'meitzit. Only by rabbanon mechitzas, if you did deliberately on Shabbos, we built them. They go back to the original answer. Shari Rambam back to the design of the sauce and varav legamri. Rambam doesn't make any distinctions because of the mezel mechitzas until he writes just that if you didn't put it back literally, it's on mechitzas in terms of carrying. Can das a rif? So that's Rashi B'Gemara Sham. Can Dayenu Nekom Amnaka Mechitzas Rabbanon? Since all these poskim are machmer, so now we're going to make on Mechitzas Rabbanon. But say Shlomar Gam Heter Acher. This we have another heter to say. The Kevon should not naflu b'Shabbos. Since they fell on Shabbos, I mean a Shabbos. Holav Hutra. Says the mutter beginning remains mutter. Much because Simin Shin Samach Sim Zayin and Sham. Mechitzas D'Oraisa Vadai. By Lo meaning Holav Hutra. Much is part of Simin Shin Ayin Dalet. Now it's true by Mechitzas D'Oraisa we don't say since it was mutter of Shabbos, it remains mutter for all of Shabbos, as we shall see. Avon Mechitzas Rabbanon. But by mechitzas, which are mechitzas d'Rabbanan, which you need in order to make a separate Erev, etc. It could seem, even if they fell, we could say since it was mutter Erev Shabbos and Shmashos, it remains mutter. And there's a hint to this Taisus. Sham so Bergasarek. Sheviu Shita Tam Diver Rosh. They brought down Rabbeinu Tam's Shita, which is like the Rosh. They wrote b'Shabbos. You have to analyze the sugya where new dwellers come on Shabbos. I mean Shabbos the way we say Shabbos since it was mutter beginning, even though dwellers came on Shabbos, it remains mutter. According to Rabbeinu Tam, why is he talking about a case where the curtains got spread again? That they returned to their initial heter, even if they fell and remained fallen. They should still be mutter because the hutra, since it became mutter, The Kapel say that she did so after mechitzas gemuras to Rabbanon, even by mechitzas gemuras to Rabbanon, even by mechitzas gemuras which are necessary to Rabbanon. You don't say since it was mutter. Zalofi Malachim come on Shin Shinadal, Mechitz Rabbanon, Hov Hutra. It's not like we say later on that by Mechitz Rabbanon, we do say Hov Hutra. And there's a bracket here, Shita Zusavers, Davke Ire Derech HaPesach, this time HaPesach. Is this Shita holds only if they made an Eruv through a doorway and then the doorway became sealed. Or Derech Chalon, or through a window, and the window became sealed. Or mean Hov Hutra. Then we say even though the bread is on the other side. So therefore, you don't have access to Eruv. It's still once it's mutter Erev Shabbos, it remains mutter. Not in terms of the wall itself. These are Torah Shalom Cheshpas Kam Shina Idad. I mean, mechitzas gemuras Rabbanon. Torah Shalom say by mechitzas gemuras, even by the Rabbanon, Halav Hutra. Since it was mutter. Iyav Shalom L'Kayen Divrei Rabbeinu Tam the Perush HaTes the Rosh. They cannot sustain the words of Rabbeinu Tam according to the interpretation of the Rosh, unless the walls fell on Erev Shabbos. Only then would be no good. Yud Beis. Sfina. You have a boat. Mutter Tata Bukuli allowed to carry the entire boat. A few of the base sign, the more than base of sign. Chashim Mukaf Sadira, because it's considered to be Mukaf Ladira. Sharei Dira Gamura over Yamin Haris. It's a complete Dira for those people who are traveling by river or by sea. Kafa Pia, if you turn the boat upside down, they'll do it, live underneath it. Have a Gama Gabi Shasiach, and have his own Shasiach. I mean, good ass Mechitza, they say the wall Mechitza of the ship, it's as if they go straight up. Really, the Zelk Shasfina ain't gonna be good betachta. It makes sense. What Arukh says is only where the keel of the boat is not rounded. The B'davar Ogo has to be a flat bottom boat. The B'davar Ogo is setting round near the Lo Shachim Gudasi Mechitza. Can't see Gudasi Mechitza. It's interesting because then we come out of Chumrah if you have even a post which is rounded on top. I'm just going to say Gudasi, but I think that he's talking about where the entire structure is rounded, not just the top of a post. In Aim Tali Balamalame, Rakar Bahamas, then he can only carry on the roof of the ship only for Amos. In the base of Saim. This going back to the case where there was 10 by 4 by 4. As the top of the boat, then no, it's not Mukaf Ladira, the inverted boat, and therefore it can only carry a base up to a base of Saim. You can only say right. Yeah. Being kafar pia rack the taknos up. So if you turn it upside down, whatever, not even for the purpose of dira, not for prohibition, but rather fix it or to reseal it. And even underneath you can only carry for 4 amos. Imi yasa base of sign, but it's one base of sign. Fishes by the machitza to say I told it's dira. This wasn't nullified now in terms of a dira. They're not a dira. Because Makviyas ain't a metas, lo diras malav, lo diras mat. As long as it's upside down, it's not being used either for the dira above or the dira below. That become a just like a random pillar. The Sfina Sheish Babatim Rabim, it's a boat which has many cabins. Yisrael Arbi, many Israelim. Kol Chadar B'Lais Muchad each one has his own cabin. Tzrichim air, they require air. Although not always, possibly never, as we shall see. There's very soon Shin Pei Beis. It's going to be explained later on. Look at my Islamar, it says in the Gemara, Svinas Kshura Zubazu, if you have boats which are tied to each other, Ma'armim Taklim is so you can make an Erev and carry from one to each other. Imam Shosh Neim and Eldam. Even if they're 2 people, that's when you call an Erev. Nifsaku, if they become separated from each other, Nesu, therefore they become forbidden. Because the Erev is cancelled. Chaz and Ikshu, they came tied together again, Ben Shogim, Ben Mazidin, where it was unintentional, intentional, Ben Ontim, Ben Mutim, where they were forced to do so, whether they made a mistake in doing so. All of them, Chaz and Tereshon, go back to the original Heter. Hakol Modim, everybody is Shach Lamar, we say Holav Hucho, everybody is don't say since it became Mutim was Mutter. Came to Shemayim Masik name because water separates the 2 of them. Reality has changed. So that's only it seems when they would snap, ropes broke on Shabbos. Then if they went backward to try to get on Shabbos, we should go back to the original answer. Because at the time Shabbos began, that's when they took effect. So that they became severed on a weekday and then tied back together on Shabbos. Also, can't carry from each other. Because Shabbos did not take place and take effect when Shabbos began. And even if they made an Erev for many Shabbos, like as our minute today, came and this is Shabbos Erev, since when beginning when the Erev of Shabbos, the Erev did not take effect, it can't take effect on Shabbos, which would lead to a very interesting chumrah. If your Erev is possible on Friday night, then in fact if it gets fixed in the middle of Shabbos, it still remains also to carry. Because Erev has to take effect when Shabbos begins.